Good day everyone. My name is Charles Lactao, a BSED science student. And the tasks that are given to us is to pick 20 terminologies that are commonly used in reading visual arts. And the 20 terminologies that I've picked are abstract, calligraphy, collage, engraving, etching, ferrule, firing, letterpress printing, masking or masking out, mounting, oil paint, relief painting, varnish, stencils, stripling, contour drawing, grid, palette, hue, and the last one is portrait. So first is abstract. Abstract is art that does not attempt to represent an accurate depiction of visual reality, but instead uses shapes, colors, forms, and gestural marks to achieve its effect. And here is some examples of abstract. Next is calligraphy. Calligraphy is a visual art related to writing. It is the design and execution of lettering with a pen, ink, brush, or other instrument. A contemporary calligraphic practice can be defined as the art of giving form to sign in an expressive, harmonious, and skillful manner. And here are some examples of calligraphy. Next is collage. Collage is an art form in which variously small objects, bit of newspaper, cloth pressed flower, etc. are pasted together on a surface in incongruous relationship for their symbolic and suggestive effect. And here are some examples of collage. And the next one is engraving. Engraving is an intaglio printmaking process in which lines are cut into a metal plate in order to hold the ink. In engraving, the plate can be made of copper or zinc. The metal plate is first polished to remove all scratches and imperfections from the surface so that only the intentional lines will be printed. And here are some examples of engraving. The next one is etching. Etching is a printmaking technique that uses chemical action to produce incised lines in a metal printing plate which then hold the applied ink and form the image. And here are some examples of etching. The next one is ferrule. Ferrule refers to a metal band or cap to strengthen or prevent splitting. In the context of art, the term refers to a metal cylinder or ring that surrounds the bristles on the brush. It binds the handle of the brush and the bristles. It is usually made of metal, and plastic ferrules are not rare. And here are some examples of ferrule. The next one is firing. Firing is the process of bringing clay and glazes up to a high temperature. The final aim is to heat the objects to the point that the clay and glazes are mature. That is, that they have reached their optimal level of melting. To the human eye, pots and other clay objects do not look melted. The melting that occurs is on the molecular levels. This process is usually accomplished in two steps, which are the brisk firing and glaze firing. And here are some examples of firing. The next one is the letterpress printing. It is a technique of relief painting using a printing press. The process allows many copies to be produced by repeated direct impression of an ink-raised surface against sheets or a continuous roll of paper. And here are some examples of letterpress printing. Next is masking or masking out. Masking refers to a process where an object is applied to a printing surface to block paint from becoming a part of your artwork. In more traditional circles, stencils serve the same purpose, allowing paint to reach the surface only where it's desired. And here are some examples of masking. The next one is mounting. Mounting is the process of attaching of a drawing, print, photograph, or other work of art done on paper to a cardboard or other backing by using a thermoplastic tissue as an adhesive. And here are some examples of mounting. The next one is oil paint. Oil paint is a type of slow-drying paint that consists of particles of pigments suspended in a drying oil, commonly linseed oil. The viscosity of the paint may be modified by the addition of a solvent such as turpentine or white spirit, and varnish may be added to increase the glossiness of the dried oil paint film. And here are some examples of oil paint. The next one is relief painting. Relief painting is a sculptural technique where the sculpted elements remain attached to a solid background of the same material. The term relief is from the Latin verb relevo, which means to raise. To create a sculpture in relief is to give the impression that the sculpted material has been raised above background plane. And here are some examples of relief painting. The next one is varnish. Varnish is a clear, transparent, hard protective finish or film. It is neither a paint nor stain. In its native state, it has a little or no color but may be pigmented as desired, and it's sold commercially in various shades. And here are some examples of varnish. The next one is stencil. It is used to produce an image or pattern by applying pigment to a surface under an intermediate object with desired gaps in it, which allowing the pigment to reach some parts of the surface. And here are some examples of stencil. The next one is stripling. Stripling is the creation of a pattern simulating varying degrees of solidity or shading by small dots. Such a pattern may occur in nature, and these effects are frequently emulated by artists. And here are some examples of stripling. The next one is contour drawing. Contour drawing is an artistic technique used in the field of art in which the artist sketches the style of a subject by drawing lines and result in a drawing that is essential an outline. The French word contour meaning outline. And here are some examples of contour drawing. The next one is grid. Grid is a network of intersecting parallel lines, whether real or imaginary. Most American streets are laid out in a grid pattern, meaning the streets intersecting at right angles and form a pattern of squares when viewed from above. And here are some examples of grid. The next one is palette. Palette, in original sense of the word, is a rigid flat surface on which a painter arranges the mixes of paints. A palette is usually made out of wood, plastic, ceramic, or other hand, inert, non-porous material and vary greatly in size and shapes. And here are some examples of palette. The next one is hue. Refers to a dominant color family. Hue refers to the origin of the color we can see, primary and secondary colors, such as yellow, orange, red, violet, blue, and green are considered hues. However, tertiary colors or mixed colors where neither color is dominant would also be considered as hues. And here are some examples of hues. The last one is portrait. Portrait is a portrayal of a person, usually showing the person's face, but not always. A portrait can be a painting, a photograph, an ink drawing, a sculpture, or even a description in words or in a film. Portrait is a term often used when talking about artworks. And here are some examples of portraits. And that's are the 20 terminologies that I've picked. And again, good day everyone. My name is Charles Lactao. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.